Well, welcome everyone to today's episode of TMI Advice You Didn't Want. Today we're diving into, this is going to be a big topic, but we're diving into kids and creating fear around certain things and what that can do for a kid. So this is going to be a big one. I don't even know where this is going to go, but that's part of the fun of this podcast. We don't always know where we're going, but we always end up somewhere fun. So in
Yeah,
case we haven't
exactly.
met before, my name is Karen. I'm one of the co-hosts here.
And my name is Ashley, and this is probably something that I think is most important. We've talked a lot about how I raise my kids. They're not biologically mine, but I've been in their life for over 4 years now. And yeah, as I've been their parent, their caregiver for over 4 years now. So yeah, it's pretty cool. And something that I believe a lot is to not be like, oh, don't do that, or oh, be careful, like
Mm.
that kind of thing. And I ended up watching like a TikTok. It was a trending TikTok about this guy who did like a voiceover of kids doing dangerous things. And it talks about how we have to allow our kids to do dangerous things. And the whole point is doing dangerous things intelligently, or like letting them understand like that risk barrier kind of thing of like what is dangerous or risky but still safe. And so we talk to our kids a lot about that, like dirt biking. Like dirt biking, you can break your arm, and there are big risks in dirt biking. But we wear a helmet, we wear gear, and we make sure that we're in control of our bike and all that kind of stuff. So we talk about that a lot. And then I just saw a recent video, and it was a TikTok as well, and it talks about how kids need to do things that make adults gasp.
Mm.
And I'm like, that is good because like kids should be doing things that are like and make your butt pucker. Like they should that that is a vital part of childhood. Like the amount of things that I did as a child that would have made an adult butt pucker or
Same.
gasp that they didn't had no fucking clue what I was doing, like that is vital to me learning and growing. And so this video went on about like how kids should be like swinging higher and falling on their face and all this kind of stuff, and not have us running up to them being like, oh my God, are you okay? And which is another thing that's really big. Like when my kids fall, I'm there. They hit themselves on a tree on a dirt bike, and I'm like, are you okay? I'm not running up to them and being like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. It's like, are you okay? What hurts? And like talk them through it. There's compassion and sympathy, but it's also not making the situation worse. Um, and then it talks about how our children, this video, talks about how our children need 3 hours outside a day. And I've always heard it
Mm.
would be one, but this video specifically said 3 hours outside a day where they are fucking around,
Mm-hmm.
where they're
Doing
getting
doing
into,
stupid stuff. Yeah.
yeah, hitting, like my boys love taking a stick and hitting a tree with a stick.
Hmm.
And sometimes they almost hit each other in the head with a stick because they're both in the same tree.
Mm-hmm. I've been there, done that with my brother, so I get it.
But they need 3 hours a day of playing in mud, doing stuff outside, and unorganized play, making adults gasp, like all of it. And obviously, there's like reason involved in that as well. And that's where we're getting really, really sticky because a lot of the parents I talk to, like what's reasonable for this age group of children is very different than mine.
Hmm.
And I know I had a lot of independence as a child, and I know that it created wonderful opportunities and wonderful personal growth in me as a young child. And you just can't get that from supervised play.
Hmm.
It's not possible. And that's what this video talks about is they need 3 hours outside, and not necessarily all 3 hours need to be unsupervised, but it's what they say is it organizes the brain. And if
Hmm.
your kid doesn't have 3 hours outside of play every day, you are stunting your child's development. And
Hmm.
I'm like, there's nothing fucking farther from the truth. Like that, um, like that doesn't make sense. I'm still having my seizure from the last podcast. Oh, life.
In case you didn't listen to the last podcast, you should because this topic actually was stemmed from that last topic as well,
Yeah.
where we were talking about the solar eclipse and how this topic came up. Well, I mean, Ashley was having a seizure in that one, so now she's having another one, but that's okay. So, but how this topic came up was how the solar eclipse caused a lot of fear in adults because these adults are now like, oh my God, my kid can't not look at the solar eclipse.
Yeah.
Like they've never experienced a solar eclipse with their kid, but now they're putting their fear of their child staring up at the sun to look at the solar eclipse,
Mhm.
and now they're afraid that their child is going to stare there and then go blind for some reason because they've been staring at the sun for so long that it's created this fear from the parent that is now trickling down into the kid.
Yeah.
And so this is just a really interesting thing that you see happen all the time where it's like, what in the world causes this fear from parents that they feel like, oh my God, they have to micromanage and completely control how their kid is playing, not being able to look at the solar eclipse, looking at like, oh my God, they can't even be outside because they're going to burn their little eyeballs out. And what kind of fear this creates in kids as they start to get older and turn into adults themselves.
Yeah.
And it really is, it's sad that there is such a, I don't know, this fear that parents have. I don't know where this came from because our parents didn't have this. Like, and it doesn't sound like your parents did
No.
either, Ashley. Like, my parents didn't have this fear. They would be like, oh, yeah, you and your brother need to go outside and let some energy out. Just go and run around the house, go play in the woods. They had no idea what we did, and we did it for hours. We were just outside playing in the muck, like doing whatever, enjoying ourselves at the end of the day. And it's like now you don't see that happening as much. There's a lot more fear around, oh my God, somebody's going to steal you. Oh my God, you're going to fall and break your arm. Oh my God, you're going to do XYZ because I'm not there.
Yeah.
And there's this micromanaging that happens that is actually really sad to see because let's be honest, as a kid, I broke all the bones. I rammed my head into things all the time. I have the scars to show it. I mean, like, that's the thing. Like, let your kid be a kid, you know? Like, obviously, as you said, Ashley, there's within reason.
Yeah.
Like, we're not going to go have our kid bungee jump off the side of the Eiffel Tower. But I mean, seriously, like, allowing your kid to go outside and play, there's something big to development. There's
Yeah.
something big that happens as far as curiosity is
Yeah.
concerned.
And
And
like,
you are laying down those brain waves in a kid that creates more curiosity and playfulness later as well.
oh, for sure. Like the things that we did, and like another video I saw recently, like got a whole bunch of free pallets to build furniture, and we have all these extras, and Tara's like, I don't know what to do with them. I'm like, let the boys build a
Hmm.
fort. Like, let's go supervise them with like hammers and
Hmm.
like start small and work up for that. Like, not power tools, but you know.
Yeah.
Like we could give them like a handsaw, like that kind of stuff. Let's
Mhm.
go and let them build a fucking fort and like make sure they're doing it properly and then go and like watch from a distance.
Mhm.
And that's kind of the way I do things with these guys because I don't have them full time. So
Mhm.
like I want to watch to see, okay, where are you at right now?
Mhm.
But really, like there's so much creativity that comes from it. And there's not that like, hey, how do I do this? Hey, can you help me? Hey, you do
Right.
this for me. They're actually having to figure it out themselves, do the hard thing, create those new brain waves and connections, and it's so powerful. And we
Mhm.
rob our children of that. And then
Absolutely.
we rob them even more when we're throwing them in front of a screen.
Mhm.
Nothing makes me more sad than a child that is always on a screen.
Yeah.
Um,
Agreed.
our kids maybe get 3 hours, and that would be a stretch of screen time a week when they're
Mm.
with us. And I bet you most kids have 5 hours a day.
Mm.
And then they have them at school too. And
Yeah.
it's insane. Like at their other house, they're playing video games on their iPads in the morning before school. And then
Hmm.
they are back on them when they get home from school. They fall asleep to nighttime YouTube on their screens. It's like constantly throughout their entire time there. And then here, they don't even know where they are. Know? Like they don't know where their like screens are because we rarely let them use them.
Hmm.
Um, and so instead, they don't even ask. They go out and play. They go
They
ride their
know.
bike. They learn a new sport. They go be ninjas. Like they do things. They are avid readers. And this last week, they were writing comic books.
Mm.
Like we steal so much from them by putting them into these like numb states. And I believe that that's partially like the school's fault too, of like, these are all the rules you have to follow. And the rules are so intense and so insane. And it's like, just let kids be fucking kids. Like, you're taking away everything from their childhood so that they can work a 9 to 5 when they're graduated. Um,
Blech. Yeah.
yeah.
No, no, no.
So, but yeah, that's my kind of go-to is like I know my kids, I know what is reasonable for each one of them, and some days it's less than others, and some days it's more than others. And so we usually test them. Like, the first time they walked to school, they walked with me. The
Mm.
next time I walked halfway and then watched them the rest of the way. The next time I followed at a distance and they didn't know I was following them. And then I started walking and following them halfway. And then I watch from the window. I kind of do that kind of progression. My son is 5, nearly 6. And so a lot of people wouldn't allow a child that young to walk to school.
Mm.
Um, Same idea. We went to the mountain and went skiing. And so they're skiing and snowboarding, and the older two just started going at different paces than me or the youngest or whatever it was. And so we ended up getting to the chairlift at different times. So they would go up the chairlift by themselves. And we're
Mm.
all on the same like general, like it's pretty decent. Like if you're not going to catch up to someone. Like you're going to have to wait at the top or the bottom for
Mm.
them to like get there. So it is a mountain, but we eventually got to the point where kind of accidentally, my youngest had got to the chairlift before me, and my oldest was there already waiting for us to catch up. And so then they were ready to go, and he had teed up, not realizing I wasn't there yet. And so they ended up going up the chairlift by themselves, and they did perfectly fine. And I was like,
Hmm.
huh, okay, they can do this. And so then I let them do it a couple more times where I was close and right there, and they were doing it perfectly. And then I let them do it a couple more times where I didn't go down with them at all. And then I went inside and let them keep going for a couple more hours by themselves completely.
Hmm.
And I don't think I know a single other person other than my parents who let me and my brother go down a mountain by ourselves when we were 5 and 8, that would have allowed that because
Yeah.
Aubrey is 10 and Knox is 5, and then my other child too was 9, and they were doing the mountain by themselves
Yeah.
on and off the chairlift. And I think most parents would be like, oh my God, and have their
Yeah.
butt there if I told them that story. But they had an amazing time. Nothing bad happened, and like everyone's all worried about the what if. I'm like, well, the opposite of that is they're learning to have autonomy, they're learning
Hmm.
independence. They are learning way more than I can possibly ever give them by giving them that safe distance where I know where they are. I know what they're doing. I can be there if I need to be. And they're gaining so much life skills. I know I
Absolutely.
would not be who I am today if I didn't have the um separation from my parents that I had, in the sense of like being able to play without them.
Yeah, yeah. And as you said, it creates that autonomy, that independence. I can do this on my own. I don't need somebody to show me how to do this. I can do this. And
I'll
there's
figure it
some,
out. And it's not just like
exactly.
I can do it. Like if one kid is in the middle of the mountain and I'm at the top and my partner's at the bottom, that kid is gonna figure their shit out, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you have to because it's
Yeah.
like, Okay, well, like it's kind of like sink or swim at this point, right? Like, so there's always going to be a balance that goes into this too, because like I remember as I was growing up, you would always have like the older people like look down on you and be like, "Oh, when I was a kid, I always walked to school in the snow in a blizzard and blah," like that whole thing, right? Like when I was a kid, this is a school of hard knocks, and it's like, okay, yeah, like there is nothing wrong with that. Um, but also like you don't have to do that either. Like there's
Yeah.
such a balance. There's a fine line with all of this. And looking at your kids in that balance, in that fine line of um how can I give them the independence so that they grow up to be adults that can handle life, because that's the thing. Like this is a 3D reality that we do have to navigate, and we do need to show our kids how to navigate 3D reality at the end of the day. But also, like, where's the balance of where they can do it on their own, and then also the balance of where can I watch from a distance, like you said, make sure that they're safe, do their thing, and if something happens, I can jump in and help them.
Yeah.
Like there's something big that happens for a kid, in my opinion. Like you said, I wouldn't be the person that I am today if my parents had micromanaged all the things that I could and could not do. Like I look at my niece and like the independence that she has is awesome, because she will be, I mean, she's 7 years old and she'll be at a restaurant and she will order for herself because she's been given that ability to do things on her own. Like, yes, mom and dad are there to help her. And this is like kind of a silly example, but like mom and dad are there to help her,
Hmm.
but she also knows that she can do it on her own. And she's been doing that since she was like even younger, 5, maybe even 4, really just saying like, this is what I want and verbalizing that. There's something special when somebody can say, this is what you need to do. Let me show you how to do this. And
Yeah.
then let me step back and let you do this. I look at my anesthesia career, right? Like whenever I was learning anesthesia, I loved it when I had somebody working with me that would show me how to do something that I maybe wasn't that good at. They would show me how to do it, and then it was like the next one, it's your turn. I remember I had the best mentor when I started doing pediatric anesthesia. This
Hmm.
was probably my first week of doing pediatric anesthesia. Okay. So I was brand new. Didn't know, like, I knew how to do adults, but peds, it's a very different story, right? So I am getting a lot of guidance when I'm doing that first kid, right? My mentor is standing next to me. She's helping me. She's showing me, okay, this is what you need to watch out for. I already knew the book knowledge, but you kind of have to have the experience to know, like, what's the reality of what's happening, right? So she's helping me through. The next case, she sat down. She was still talking to me, but she sat down. She wasn't in my space anymore. She was letting me do it. By the third case, I was doing it completely on my own. The surgeon was looking back at me and going, wow, you're doing a really good job. And I'm like, damn, this is my first week doing pediatric anesthesia. And I look at that preceptor, that mentor that was brave enough
Yeah.
to step in when she needed to. When I was brand new, I needed help, and I verbalized, hey, this is my first week. Cool. I love that you told me that. Let me help you. So my first case, and these are all the same procedures. So it's not like I had to learn anything new, right? Like it was like the same cookie cutter procedure
Hmm.
back to back. So once I learned it and I did it myself, and then I continued to do it myself, I repeated, okay, this is how I do this. Okay. So she is stepping in at first, but then she sits back. And then by the end, she was sitting on her phone, not even paying attention anymore, like having an ear out, absolutely. but she has an ear out in case I'm like, hey, I definitely need help. And she's been doing this long enough. I mean, she'd been doing this for like probably 30 years at that point, so that she could just know, like instinctually, when something was wrong.
Hmm.
But she could step in when she needed to. And the beautiful thing that that did for me was it built my confidence.
Yep.
My confidence went straight through the roof because now, instead of somebody micromanaging my every move, telling me how to do XYZ, even though I've already done it and demonstrated that I know how, like I'm able to do it on my own. And she's just kind of like, she's there if there's a big something that happens. Your confidence goes up. You feel like you can start to do harder things at that point too.
Yep.
That's the beautiful thing that happens, whether you're an adult or a kid or whatever. When somebody gives you the reins like that and gives you that trust, there's
Yep.
a confidence that grows in you
Hmm.
that you can't really squash it.
No.
It's like, it's beautiful. And when you see this happening for kids,
Yeah.
when they build that confidence at a young age that they can do it, it's
Hmm.
like they, as they get older, they're unstoppable because
Oh,
now they're like, oh, there's nothing that's too hard. I can do things.
yeah.
I'm able to. I don't need somebody to hold my hand. I can try the hard things. I think for me personally, my parents doing this for me as a kid created this knowing that if I stepped into anything, even if I failed, and I'm putting air quotes up, even if I failed, that's okay. I can keep trying.
Hmm.
I can keep doing this until I go, oh, this is how you do it. And you build your confidence by doing something like that, by allowing that to happen with kids. So I feel like by not, by holding a kid back in that way, you are actually stunting that confidence curve that can come in
Yeah.
when you just allow somebody to do it for themselves.
Yeah. And I think a lot of what you just said too, what I hear is like that expectation, you know? Like I have the expectation that my kids can do hard things.
Hmm.
They can be responsible, that they can walk to the school and not get run over.
Yeah.
So, like, I have that expectation in their capabilities, and they live up to it because of that.
Hmm.
And so, when you're used to not having to really try, 'cause someone's always there to pick up the slack and do the pieces for, or do the hard pieces for you, and all that kind of stuff, you're raising lazy children. You're
Mm.
raising children that don't know how to do hard things, that are whiny and bratty and entitled. And like that just is what I see, you know? When I say no to a kid when I'm working with them, they're trying to do up their zipper in their jacket. And it's like, yeah, the easy thing would be for me to just do it and have you go out and be done with it, right? And I think a lot of parents are lazy
Just do.
parents. It's easier for them to zip up the jacket than to teach the kid how. You know, it's easier for them to put them on a screen than so they can get their work done, their cooking done, because we are in this bullshit 9 to 5 scenario and there's
Mm.
only so many hours in the day. So it's easier that way than to make sure your kid is being responsible outside without your supervision, right? And so we have made it very clear to our kids, like, if you go outside of our expectations, you are going to have a lot of that independence taken away.
Yeah.
And so we expect this. And if it ever goes below this, you won't be able to do that anymore.
Right.
And just having that expectation, that very firm line, has made it be so beautiful. Like we live in a wonderful residential community. There's no like businesses, there's no real reason for people to be here other than to be in the residence area. There's 2 elementary schools in our area. So a lot of this area is school zones and families, and it's safe. There's parks, there's community gardens, there's a community pool, like it's all great. So we really let our kids go about the community however they please. And we've told them, if you leave our house, our driveway, our backyard, we need to know. You have
Yeah.
to tell us. Like you literally, like we have a basketball net in the cul-de-sac, like that is crossing off of our property. You need to tell us. You know,
Hmm.
like just like that little weird expectation. Like I just need to know. And if you're going anywhere other than the cul-de-sac, If you say, hey, I'm gonna go outside and play basketball, then cool. But then say you're like, actually, I want to go to the park. You can't just go to the park. So you need to come and tell us, okay, I'm now going to the park. And so that's kind of like our expectation. If you say, hey, I'm going to be going between my friend's house, the park, and like all over the place, cool, I know. I know you're going to be kind of anywhere. And so as long as I have an idea of where you're going to be at, we're good. And
Hmm.
that's the only rule we have. It's just I need to know where you are. And then they can go and do whatever they want. And often it is a general like, hey, we're going to be between my friend's house, the dog park, the school park, and home. Cool. And they
Yeah.
will go and play for an hour or 2 hours. And every once in a while, I'll peek out the window. I'll walk to the end of the cul-de-sac so I can see that they're at the park, and I'll come back and they're doing their thing. And they know that that is their expectation, is as long as I know they're good to go. And it forms responsibility, it forms expectations. There's just so many beautiful things around something so fucking simple, you know?
Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And the building that responsibility, it's in, it's so important, and it creates this trust too,
Mhm.
in my opinion, between you and them, because they know, and we
Yeah.
all know this on a deep level, that if we break the trust, there's gonna be consequences, right?
Yeah.
So if they for some reason break the trust, there's going to be consequences. I know as a kid, I broke the trust all the time because
Oh,
I
for
wanted to
sure.
test the boundaries.
Yeah.
But I think that's part of learning to be like a person as well.
Yeah.
Like as a 2-year-old, you see 2-year-olds do this all the time.
Yeah.
Test the boundaries. You kind of want to like they want to know like is this going to be okay? And they're kind of like looking at you as they're testing the boundaries, right? Like that's a normal thing to do as a child or as an adult.
Hmm.
Like let's be honest, like I still do that to this day. Like you'll kind of like test the boundaries. I think that's a healthy thing
For
to
sure.
do as long as you realize that if you break those boundaries that were set, that there can be consequences in some way, shape, or form, right? Like
Yeah.
that, and that there's something to be learned when you yourself break those boundaries. So I have no question that there will be a day where your kids break the trust with you. I know they already have, but you create this boundary of this is what I want you to do. They break the boundary, and then the consequences that result.
Hmm.
There's a there's a wonderful thing that happens when we learn
Hmm.
um, how boundaries work and how like the consequences that can come, whether they're like I don't like saying good bad, it's just how we perceive it, right? But a lot of times if okay, you broke the boundary, we have to take away this thing from you, that's seen as a bad consequence that comes. But there's something beautiful that happens when we test the boundaries and we realize, oh, there is a consequence that comes from it. And that also, like, realizing, I know you do this with your kids too, you tell them to test the boundaries because you want to have that curiosity in them so that they don't turn into this person that feels like, oh, in order to be a good upstanding citizen, I have to get straight A's. I have to go to a good college. I have to get a good job when I'm done college and go to this 9 to 5 that I hate for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Instead of creating this curiosity around, well, what would happen if I broke the boundary,
Hmm.
right? Like there's always that um double-edged sword when it comes to creating boundaries and having somebody go past the boundary and seeing what happens. Like I don't feel like it's necessarily a negative thing when a kid tests the boundary because now there's possibility for curiosity of what's going to happen if I test the boundary.
Yeah.
So,
Well, one of the best gifts in like a really weird way is that Derek jokes about how I'm a rule breaker all the time.
hmm.
And so whenever the kids, I'm like, okay, you can't do that. Like working at the school and they're running in the hall to come greet me. I'm like, you're not allowed to run. They're like, well, you're a rule breaker, so it's fine.
Oh
And
my
so
God.
yeah, so they like already are doing that kind of stuff. And It was a couple months ago. Aubrey came home and she said she had a really frustrating day because she got in an argument with one of the teachers. And I was like, okay, tell me a little bit more about this. And the teacher told her to do something that didn't agree with her, and she pushed back.
Mm.
And I'm just
Oops.
like, shit, I'm fucking proud of you. Like to push back against a teacher when it doesn't align with you, to me is really impressive at a grade 4 level.
Mm-hmm.
And she wasn't disrespectful. She wasn't being mean. She didn't do anything wrong. And so I just told her, I'm like, I'm sorry you're frustrated, but I'm proud of you for standing up for yourself.
Yeah.
And we definitely talk a lot to the kids about how, like, we have a lot of expectations and we have a lot of rules, but we also have less rules too. It's kind of like this weird thing, where, like, we really prioritize sleep and nutrition and lack of screens.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
and those are three really big things that we have a lot of rules around because we believe that that is in their best interests. But
Mm-hmm.
then when it comes to, like, them having their independence of play, they are so free to be them. And
Mm-hmm.
like you said too, we have a big issue around lying. And so we've told our kids, if we say we want you to do this and you don't want to, we don't want you to be sneaky and lie to us, which they have done. And then
Mm-hmm.
their consequence was writing a letter as
Mm-hmm.
to why it wasn't effective
Mm-hmm.
and why they won't do it next time, or what the reason was that it wasn't effective, and what the reason was, what the reasons are that they're going to choose something different next time, and how those choices will be more effective. So that was Aubrey and Knox's consequence when they were sneaky.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and until they wrote the letter, which we weren't helping them with, until they wrote the letter, they lost privileges. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember what Knox's were, but Aubrey wasn't allowed to sleep over with friends. Not a big deal, like,
Mm-hmm.
but it was to her. It was worth
Mm-hmm.
writing that letter to get that going. Um, but we've told them we'd rather you say, fuck that. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not doing what you've told me to do for this reason. And so I'm like, as long as you have a reason, we're going to actually listen to you. And we want you to argue with us because we're a safe place.
Mm-hmm.
And we want you to learn how to fight for yourselves and how to work hard to get what you want. And I would not be where I was today if I didn't learn that skill set. That is sales. I learned how
Mm-hmm.
to sell myself into positions that I wasn't qualified for, and all of those kind of things. It opens up so many doors
Mm-hmm.
when you learn those skills.
Yeah.
And I'm representing myself in court, like, and that too, like, there's so many different skill sets that that's going to create. And so we've told them, we want you to fight back, we want you to challenge us, and we encourage you to. If you
Yeah.
say fuck that, I just don't want to, and storm off because you're an angry teenager, it's not going to be that well received. We still
Mm-hmm.
would prefer it over lying, but we want reasons, we want logic, we want you to come to us, and fight against us, because we're the safest place for you to learn that. Because at the end of the day, you say fuck that, I don't want to, for XYZ, we still love you.
Yeah.
Whereas if you do that in a job, you might get fired, you might lose friends. We're the best place to learn that.
Yeah.
And yeah, and so there's been times where the kids want to skip school. I'm like, okay, let's hear it. What's your argument? What's the reason that
Mm-hmm.
you're going to skip school? And sometimes we're like, you had a good argument, but we're still the adults and you're still going to school.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes we're like, you had a good argument. You don't have to go to school today. And sometimes they have a horrible argument, so they go to school. So
Yeah.
I think it's just a great lesson and place, altogether. But that I think to me is, like, food and water and sleep, like, those are the building blocks. Kids are
Yeah.
not getting enough sleep nowadays. They need
Yeah.
12
No,
to
I agree.
14 hours, not 7 to 9. Like, they need sleep. And
Mm-hmm.
I have friends that are like, oh, it's so lucky that your kids nap. I'm like, they nap because I expect them to nap, because they
Mm-hmm.
need it, because they are growing children. And then they can go dirt biking and swimming all day because they took care of their body and their
Yeah.
mind, and they are emotionally regulated enough to handle that kind of stuff. So, yeah, so we have really strict rules around that. And then everything else is super fucking fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you were talking about, like, allowing your kids to have that pushback. And I think that especially for Aubrey,
Hmm.
so important for females to
Yeah.
be allowed to have that pushback because a lot of females grow up feeling disempowered because they didn't have that ability. They didn't feel like they could speak up. And it causes a lot of issues for females as adults. I never felt an issue. For me,
Mhm.
I feel like I grew up in that kind of environment where if I felt something, I would say it. And as an adult, it's the same thing. Like women are like, "Oh, you don't feel like you can't say that?" I'm like, "Why would I feel like I can't say this? This is the truth. Like I don't know what you want me to say." Like
Yeah.
that creates that empowerment
Hmm.
for especially women
Yeah.
because there is so much oppression that can happen for women when it comes to speaking our truth and how we're actually feeling and what's going on. So, kudos, good
Mhm.
job.
Thanks.
And
Oh.
guys, you probably heard a lot of advice that you didn't want today, but I think with this, we're going to wrap up TMI advice you didn't want. If you're watching us on YouTube, go ahead and give us a like and go ahead and give us a follow as well. And if you are listening to us on your favorite podcasting host, go ahead and give us a 5 star. And we would love to hear from you. Any questions, comments, thoughts that you might have had along this journey with us. We'd love to hear. So, with that, we're going to call TMI advice you didn't want a wrap for today.